Okay, cool. So yeah, so a little hectic start, but here we go. So I have all the ingredients out here in front of me right now, so I'm just gonna go over those real quick. We got all our vegetables. I'm gonna be using these carrots. I said one carrot, but these are kind of small, so I'm gonna use those. Got green onions for garnish. These are kind of like droopy. That just happens after a few days, but I still use them anyway. This is actually like 3.5 ounces of shiitake mushrooms, so probably gonna use like a little bit more than half of these, and then I got one whole broccoli head, but I'll just maybe use more than half of it. But you do everything to your own preferences. I got some brown sugar. Got one garlic clove. Some people like to double their garlic clove because they really like garlic. This is the spicy chili crisp. These are really good um, for making a spicy sauce with a little bit of texture to it. It's cornstarch. This is going to be like our thickening agent. And then I got some soy sauce, but this is the less sodium soy sauce. This is good for like stir fry sauces because then it's because you can always add more salt. It's easier to manage the saltiness. And then this is the sesame oil, and we're going to use this to start sauteing our garlic. It's going to start. All right, so
Can you back up and show the spicy chili crisp again?
yeah, this one I got from like the Asian grocery store. I have a
So
different one that I got from Schnucks. I don't see it though. Oh yeah, here it is.
what is a crisp? That's what I'm confused about. I have a chili sauce that
Um, yeah, I
it's
think
not
it's
called a
just like,
crisp.
yeah, they're just like cut up chili peppers, and then they're like put into like a nice sauce that's made a bunch of seasonings, like I got a bunch of peppers, like white pepper, Sichuan peppercorn, mushroom powder, some spices, garlic, some oil, onions, chili peppers, just it's a nice like little seasoning blend. So what did you say you had?
Okay, I'll shut up so you can just keep going. Sorry.
No, you're good. Uh, yeah, the Zoom recording is limited to 40 minutes, but this won't take long. It's okay. This will take like 30 minutes, I think, if I do everything without any problems. So okay, so I gotta clean up a little bit and then I'll get started with preparing the vegetables. So yeah, put the sauces in there. Okay, so with the green onions, there's like a white part to it, and I usually just cut down to maybe a little bit before the white part starts, then it gets kind of rough. So I'm just gonna do that first because I've actually got a couple. I saved these. They were, I just throw them in for a little bit of extra texture, and they basically just taste like white onion. So okay, let me make sure you can see this. Okay. Okay. And so when I'm cutting these, I just kind of go for like a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch length, and then we're just gonna set these aside for later. Um, that's gonna be it for the garnish, and that comes at the end. I did forget to mention the sesame seeds, so I'll get those in a second. Okay, that's there. Got the sesame seeds. They just look like this. They're kind of expensive at the store. I don't know if you've noticed that. They're like, I don't know, $5, $7 for a jar. Okay, and then I have these. So I got these cool these are called ramekins. These are really cool for just like putting cut up things like garnishes in a little dish and put to the side. So I got one for the garnish, and then I'll use the other one for mixing the sauce. All right, so garnish is that's ready. And then we got the little white ends. I'm just gonna cut these up, and these are just gonna go in. I'm probably gonna throw them in with the garlic. Because if you cook them too long, they kind of just wilt away until nothing. So it's nice to have a little bit of a bite to them. And then with like vegetable scraps in general, I think most people just throw them away, but you can actually like freeze them and you make a vegetable stock out of them. So that's kind of like what I do with the little frilly ends of the green onions. Okay, so I'm gonna put that to the side. And then for garlic, for the garlic clove, the trick for getting the skin off is you kind of just you press it with your knife blade. And then so it gets a nice smash texture, and then you can just the skin just kind of peels right off. Okay, so, and then there's a little stem on the end of it. On both, I guess not both ends of it, of the two halves that are smashed, but I just try and do like a small cut to get that off. And I just put that to the side. Okay. And then to mince the garlic, um, what I do is I just kind of like cut it the long way first. And then when I'm cutting with the blade, one of the tips is like what you want to do is, I'm not doing it now. Sometimes I switch back to holding the handle, but I'm kind of doing it. I use the index and your thumb to pinch the blade, and that'll give you like more of a precise cut. And that's really good for like onions and stuff. So, but like with what we're doing here, it's not really as necessary or as helpful because you don't really need precise cuts for stir fry. You know, you just kind of things up. So I'm going the other way now with the garlic just to get a nice even cut and to mince it up even more. The little trick that I've learned from when I was like a teenager is you just hold one side of the blade down and then you kind of just let it bounce off the board. Well, not too much because that'd be dangerous, obviously, but just enough to get a nice rhythm going. And that's your minced garlic. So I'm gonna. This doesn't go in. This will go in the same thing as those little red onion bits. So I'm gonna push those to the side and keep them away from everything else. All right, so everything else is gonna get cut into like 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch pieces with the carrots. There's like a little stem on the one end of it, so I just cut that off right away. And then again, you can save that for vegetable stock and freeze it if you want, or just throw it away. That's fine. And then so with the carrots, there's usually like a skinnier end and like a wider end. So I kind of just I cut that in half and kind of find a good like this one's got like a little notch in it, so that's a good place to just cut it. And so then with this, it's kind of like it's really hard to cut because it rolls around. So what you want to do is cut it in half. What that's going to do is going to give you that, that flat surface. And then from here, um, you're going to go for those like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch slices. So that's what's going to give you those little, and then you can flip it, get a better side, and then that will give you kind of like that's more like a 1/4 inch. This one's more like a 1/2 inch, but you know, you don't have to keep things perfect. And then these are a little bit long, so I think I'm probably going to do thirds here because carrots don't really shrink up that much, and so you get little pieces like this. So I'm just going to do that for the rest of it now. So it's starting with the wider one, so down the middle. Mm. And if you haven't, I pre-washed my vegetables. I forgot to mention that. So if you're using like the shiitake mushrooms, those you definitely want to wash. Because what I've read online is, I can't say what there is about organic mushrooms, but like with grocery raised mushrooms, the soil that they use is generally safe, but with like organic mushrooms, I don't really know. But you want to rinse just in general, just wash them off to get rid of all the dirt so you don't get any illnesses. I think people claim like botulism, something like that. I'm not a health expert, but just going to give some helpful advice on why you want to wash your vegetables. It's not just because dirt's gross or anything, it's for safety. Hmm. These are okay, so these are the skinnier ones. I didn't really explain it, but the wider ones I did 3 cuts, but these I'm just cutting down the middle because that'll give you that quarter inch, the half inch length, and then I can just bunch these together to speed things up a bit. All right, so I got a healthy amount of carrots here. This is probably more than what I was aiming for, so I might just take a little bit away and just use them for something else later. So it's about between a half cup and a cup is pretty much. You probably want to get like a half cup of everything. That's what we're going for here. Okay, so I'm gonna set those to the side. And so for broccoli, the way I do this is I just kind of cut off the big stem first, and then naturally like the smaller florets will just kind of fall off, and so you can just pick those off and then do this, and then you repeat the process. So now you got the stem again, and then you can cut that. Get your florets. That's probably enough. We'll just save that big broccoli piece for later and maybe take a couple. Try and keep this. I think for the stir fry, you kind of want to keep the smaller ones. So I'm just going to pick all the bigger ones out. And because it's important to have like a good even proportion of everything, just so not one vegetable's like dominating all the flavor. So this is probably, take one more out. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, there's 8 florets here. That's probably a good amount. Okay, so it's shiitake mushrooms. So at the Schnucks grocery store, you can get these like pre-cut, but what they do is they slice them like through some machine or whatever and just like slices the whole stem. So we're not doing that. With the stem here, it's tougher than the rest of the mushroom, so we're gonna just cut that off. So I don't know if I can. You kind of just take up. This is a paring knife, so you just kind of take that and slice it down the side as you can. Okay, and then with the mushroom, you want to go for that quarter inch, half inch, probably more closer to a half inch because the mushroom will shrink up a bit. So you want to get those half inch cuts with this one. So this is probably like 4 cuts on this bigger mushroom. And so those pieces will kind of look like this. Okay. And then I'm just going to do that for the rest of the mushrooms. And then for the stems, same thing. You can save them for a um, vegetable stock or broth. And then you can look up how to do that, but basically you just take like maybe like 4 cups. You basically want to do twice as much water as you want for broth and then boil it for an hour with all your vegetable scraps in it. And you can freeze the scraps so they last for pretty long. And then you can get kind of creative with your vegetable broth. So like with this has like a lot of like the Asian flavors with the green onion and the shiitake mushroom stems. So it's really great for any sort of Asian dishes that require a vegetable broth, like some ramen maybe. Me too. And I've mentioned before that you probably want like a neutral side with this. So I already have rice prepared. If you got your udon noodles or rice noodles, those you could probably cook at the same time and get those done. But the rice, that'll take some more time. So all right, so I got a good amount of mushrooms here. So I think I'm ready because what's going to happen is when I mix the sauce, it won't be enough to cover all the vegetables. So that's why I'm kind of like being careful with how many vegetables I use, but the mushrooms will shrink up, so that's okay if they look like more than the rest. All right, so for mixing the sauce, I got my ramekin, and if I remember right, I'm gonna let's see, where did I put my ready? Or is getting crowded now? Okay. So 2 tablespoons of the soy sauce and 1 tablespoon of the rice vinegar. That's gonna create our sauce. And so from when I cook this, when you like, we're not, or I'm making the sauce now, but yeah, it'll be fine. Sometimes, sometimes I like to work multiple items, so I'll be sautéing the vegetables usually at this time, and then I'll make the sauce. But it's hard for me to like think ahead like that right now. Here, my cornstarch, the other one wasn't open yet. Okay, so we need half a teaspoon of cornstarch. So this is a quarter teaspoon, so I'm gonna do two of these. And half a teaspoon of the chili crisp. I like the chili crisp, so it's okay if it's like a heaping scoop. Okay, so that was okay. So that was a little bit more than enough, but it's good for me. And then you just kind of mix this up because the cornstarch you're gonna want to break up. Get that. Right done. Okay, so now it's probably time to start sauteing the vegetables. Everything but the garlic and green onions are going to go in the pan, or wok, I should say. Let me move this. So I have a gas stove. So for anyone with an electric stove, you might need you probably should have started your burner earlier. Sorry, didn't mention that. Because of the gas stove, which I got, it'll just heat up right away. So I'm lucky for that. So the microphone's kind of farther away, so I'm gonna try and speak up. So sorry. Can't hear it very well. So you just put like a tablespoon of olive oil in. Every recipe says a tablespoon of olive oil, but depending on the size of your pan, you really need to get a good even coating. So I just kind of throw that in there. And then so with olive oil, it'll slowly get more like the consistency of water. I mean, they call it like viscosity. I forget what it means if it's like higher or lower, but the viscosity will change to the point where it flows like water. So that's kind of how you know it's like starting to heat up a bit, but you don't want to add your vegetables until you like can get it sizzling because it does like a cauterizing effect basically because well vegetables are porous, especially the mushrooms, and so the oil will like seep inside the vegetable and then you won't have the oil in the pan anymore. It'll be inside the vegetable and it's just not a very good eating experience to have like oil filled vegetables. So you want to make sure it gets hot enough for that. So and one easy way to test it, you just take like maybe a small piece of carrot and you just throw it in there. And so I can hear it sizzling. And to me, that tells me that it's ready. So I'm just gonna throw all the vegetables in now. Back down. Take your favorite spatula. And you want to mix it all up and get all the vegetables coated with that oil. And so this will take like 7 minutes kind of cook all this. So you don't need to stir it constantly all the time. So it's actually like a good time to do like some cleanup. Or like how I said earlier, I'd be making the sauce or preparing the garnish and stuff. But the way my brain's working right now, I decided to do all the cutting first. So, whoops. Um, so yeah, it's a good time to like put away the soy sauce, rice vinegar, chili crisp. So I'm gonna do that. Yeah. So I have a power burner, so mine can actually get really hot. So I'm gonna turn the burner down. It's starting to smoke a little bit. So basically all my oil is pretty much absorbed into into the vegetables now. Um, I'm going to take out my smoke alarm battery real quick so it doesn't go off. Oh, okay. Sorry, taking care of it. All right. Two. Yeah, the smaller bits of the mushroom are already they're already shrinking up. Um, and it's important that you cut like the carrots like small enough because those are the ones that are going to be probably the because it's a root vegetable. Those are going to be the most tough. So that's really where 7 minutes are going to go. And it's okay to add more oil. Just don't do a lot at a time. Um, so if it starts to look kind of dry, and I might add more. Depends on how it goes. Um, yeah. So I have like so my brown sugar is like pretty old, so it's like already gone hard. So but I still use it. So it's obviously not good for baking, but for like the stir fry stuff, it's pretty good because it'll just dissolve into the sauce as you like heat it up and stuff. You're not using a whole lot. So this is like a tablespoon to me. I might use a little bit more, but yeah, I'm starting to see like the smaller bits of carrot starting to get a little of a char on them, crisp up a little bit, however you want to say it. Broccoli is too. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil just to kind of distribute the heat, I guess. So it's been going for about 4 minutes. What else? Yeah, I could do some more cleanup. I could get rid of all these vegetable scraps. Um, I've got a little grocery bag in my freezer, so I just fill with these. So I'm gonna go do that. Sometimes with like the bigger broccoli florets, like I picked out the bigger ones, but like if you have to use like a big one, I would just kind of late now to say it, but I guess next time you can kind of like just cut them in half. I don't know if I got with the wooden spatula, it's not as easy, but if you got more of like a plastic one with a flat edge, or if you're using metal, that's kind of gonna scratch your pan, so I would advise against that. Um, okay, so we're at 5 minutes now, but um, I'm trying to test out the carrots. Those are the ones I'm really concerned about because the broccoli is it's fine with a little bit of crunch. Okay, so I was able to just cut right through that carrot. All right, we're about at 6 minutes now. I'm getting concerned because the shiitake mushrooms have shrink up, and I don't want them to disappear. So I'm gonna turn this off now and take these out. I just gotta. I got a little side flip here just to put these on. Okay. So the pan is extremely hot, and if you were to add the oil to it right now, it would basically just boil. So I'm gonna wait probably for another minute, 30 seconds to let it cool down. And then we can add the, the oil. Um, yeah, so we're gonna start with the oil, the sesame oil, particularly. And then do half tablespoon of that, and then we're gonna throw in the garlic and the brown sugar. I think, but first we're gonna do the garlic. We'll let that get like a fragrant. smell to it. It usually takes like 30 seconds. And then we'll add the brown sugar and then we'll wait for it to caramelize. So that'll probably take another 30 seconds. And then from there, we can add the rest of the sauce, and then I'll throw in the whites of the green onion then probably. And then uh you'll see the rest of it in there. Okay. So I'm gonna start with the sesame oil. Sesame oil has like this lid on it, at least the one that I buy, so I just take that off. I'm using quite a bit here. Get half a tablespoon roughly. So yeah, I can already hear it like popping a little bit because the pan is so hot. I don't even have the burner on. That's probably good. Just throw the garlic in now. I combined my garlic and green onions, whoops. But that's okay. I'll just get most of the garlic out. Okay, throw that in. The garlic is sizzling a little bit, but not enough. So I'm gonna turn the burner back on. Put it on like I'm putting it on like a medium, which on a power burner is like a medium high. So I'm probably gonna do like a medium low. That'd be good. Okay. So yeah, it's bubbling up pretty good, and I can already like start smelling the garlic. So you really don't want to overcook the garlic because what happens, it'll turn bitter. So now I'm just gonna throw in the brown sugar, crumble it up a bit. Well, that was kind of like a little less than a tablespoon, I would say. I'm gonna add a little bit more. And when it caramelizes, it just kind of like turns to like a sticky consistency. It's no longer granular. So mixing it in with the oil. And you want to stir this because it'll burn if you don't constantly move it around. Um, it's still kind of granular a little bit. So I'm trying to wait for it to caramelize a little bit. Okay, it's looking better now. Okay, so now we're going to add the rest of the sauce. And so, all right, so this part, the rice vinegar and spicy chili crisp will be kind of like tough to like breathe on, so be careful with that. But if you're used to like spicy stuff, it'll be fine. All right, so now it's like really bubbling a bit, and so this is where it's going to reduce down. So it's got that cornstarch in it, and it's going to turn into like a thicker sauce. So a lot of the time people, go to the store and they buy like that teriyaki sauce and they use that, but this is fun because you can kind of make your own flavors with the spicy, like with the spicy chili crisp. I think it really uh, makes it makes a teriyaki sauce look pretty weak in comparison. So and it just tastes way better when you make it fresh. So we started around 6:10. So okay, so we're almost done because Zoom will only allow for 40 minutes of recording, which is why I do the live streams. But yeah, this sauce is looking pretty good. You can kind of test it by like doing like the finger test, and because you see the streak not get covered up by the sauce, it's ready. So I don't know if I can show you a bit better. But I don't know, it's thickened quite a bit. So I'm gonna add the vegetables back in. So now you just coat the vegetables and heat the vegetables up all the way through, and then it's time to plate. So yeah, the broccoli florets are going to be the ones that need to be tossed around the most. Okay. So I have my rice in the microwave and it has cooled off, so I'm just gonna run the microwave real quick for a few seconds. Okay, I'll turn the burner off now because this is done. got my rice. And my rice is, yeah, it's pretty much heated up. And I'm just gonna do the plating on my stove. I got the camera. Well, maybe not. No. Okay, I'm gonna move the camera. I forgot the green onions. Oh, forgot they had the little green onion whites. That's okay. Okay. So got my bowl of rice, and then careful with the wok. It's hot, and you just kind of just layer this on evenly across the top. You can kind of do it to the side if you want the rice to show a little bit, but I'm just gonna layer it all on the top, and then next thing to do. Oh, a better picture. That's kind of. I should get the lighting better. That's kind of like what it looks like. And I'm gonna add the sesame seeds first because I want the sesame seed to stick to the sauce. And the green onions will get in the way of that. So I'm just kind of sprinkle that across the top. Right. And then the green onion, whenever you garnish, you kind of want to do it from afar, like with parsley and cilantro. Green onion, not so much, but a couple inches is fine. Because that way it'll allow it to kind of just spread out as it falls, and so it's not so concentrated in one place. That kind of just gives like a nice even, it gives like a nice even distribution. I like running on some on there. And that's kind of like what it looks like. See if I can get, here's my, that's a better picture. And so it's all vegetables. If you got some protein, you can add that. I have some chicken in the fridge, which is like a Korean chicken. But this looks good on its own. So, all right, that's the end of the cooking show, I guess you want to call it. Thanks so much for. I'll point the camera up at me now. Oh yeah, lean down. Oh, this light's in the way. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Well, thanks so much for attending, and I hope you enjoyed some of the tips and the recipe. And if you're cooking along, I hope you enjoy your food. Yeah, it only takes like if you get the recipe down, and I explained everything as I went, so I was kind of going slower, and you can kind of like work multiple things at the same time. So you can really get this down to like 20, 25 minutes if you really work at it. But yeah, thanks for the comments. I see those coming in. And then I'll upload this to YouTube later. And I'm gonna keep it unlisted. And I'm gonna give people like maybe a week to kind of view and see if they want like their audio cut out or stuff. I think it adds to the experience a little bit, with like questions and answering and stuff. I forgot to add this. I forgot to make myself the spotlight though, so your profile will show up on the video. I don't know. If you're not okay with that, then I won't make it public, but I'll keep it unlisted. Um, yeah, and yeah, okay, so I'm gonna go. And thanks everybody. And I got for next upcoming events, I have a recipe swap and review. I'm doing it at Barcelona Tapas. They just reopened recently. I think I put it in the descriptions, but they closed for a couple of years and they opened up in a new smaller location. So I want to go there, and then the goal of the meeting is to kind of bring your favorite recipe and find somebody who has like a similar flavor profile that you'd like to share a recipe with, and you kind of take it back, cook it, and give feedback the next time we meet and stuff. I enjoy it. It's been pretty fun. And then I got kimchi fried rice as the next cooking basics show, and I'm kind of running out of ideas. So if people have more ideas they want to do, if they want to do their own, I kind of want to make this like a community driven thing. So feel free to step up if you got something you want to show, and keep them relatively short. So no like slow cooker recipes, because that won't really work for the video. But yeah, something to think about. Thanks everybody. I'm gonna go. All right. Bye.